back right at you. Myself and Dan going to bring you the featured matches, but of course, myself and Dan can't do it on our Larrys. It is going to be Wheat joining us here for our last two games of the night, and we've got two absolute bangers here. And Wheat, like I said before, it's been quite a while since I've seen you. How you been?
It has. I've been great.
I'm sure it's been a spectacle.
I've been great. But you know, before I answer that question, I just want to let everyone know that especially Dan, especially as ESX, like I want a really serious two featured matches here. Okay, I none of like what happened last week, Dan. Okay, that can't happen. So just enjoy the Quake, but be serious about it. No laughing or giggling or anything like that. There's no, just needed to throw that out there. That being said, it's great to be back. Lethal, it's great to see you. Dan, it's great to see you. I'm excited for these two matches that we got here.
Yeah, so am I. You're looking fabulous as always, Wheat. And now we're going to go to our next matchup between Sirius and RAISY, two of the AIM gods in this Pro League circuit. I think a lot of people would say that, of course, as RAISY's adaptation and dueling experience, he could benefit a little bit more going into this. But I'm very curious to see how Sirius is going to perform. We know it didn't look too good for Sirius against Maxter last week, so we can see what differences and if he's able to rectify some of those errors which he anticipated against Maxter last week.
Yeah, and it's going to be rough for him. The last time I saw him play RAISY, he got steamrolled. It wasn't in the QPL, obviously, but he got absolutely steamrolled. And so he's in a really challenging part of his short QPL career, because as we spoke about time and time again, he's had an amazing run so far, but now he's playing the big boys. And this is where his mental game, his strategy gets really tested, because these players can hit just as hard as him, but know how to work around that and exploit his vulnerabilities. So it's going to be a bit of a testing ground for Sirius going up against RAISY today. But you can't deny he's had a stellar run in the QPL, considering where he came from, right? If we think back to his matches prior to the QPL, he was just one of these online kids. He likes to rage a lot. He knew how to play Quake, but he could hit bots, and now he's a fully cultured, fledged member of this QPL.
You know, there's actually something interesting about this lineup that we're seeing here, is that Sirius actually has, some tough opponents here at the end of the season. But I'd almost argue that is better going into the finals overall, right? I mean, you called out, right, the last matchup between himself and RAISY. But I think getting this level of Titan going into it, I would imagine that for someone like Sirius, right, get it kind of out of the way, go to the lane with everything that he's got, and just go for it. Test the waters here, right? I expect RAISY to really bring it. But that could play into Sirius's favor. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to see, because RAISY, as we know, one of the most highly consistent players in the Quake Pro League for quite a few years now, and still looking for that QuakeCon title, which he's become so close to on numerous times. But what I'm interested from RAISY's perspective in this matchup is how he's going to deal with Sirius. We know there's a lot of players who do it in certain ways to make it feel really uncomfortable, not given the angles he so desperately desires to bring up these his high accuracies overall. But yeah, look at the scoreboard. You can see he lost to Kilson right at the very beginning of the season. But of course, we know what the first 4 weeks are like. Everyone's trying to get themselves back into it after a bit of a break. And then we continued on with those clean sweeps. And the upset from Strong Sage taking down RAISY was a big one. And of course, he did lose to Rafa only a few weeks ago to then get back on the 3-0 train against Toxiz. So, Dan, I'm very excited to see what RAISY can do to either topple Sirius or what Sirius can do to try and contend this juggernaut.
Exactly, yeah. I'm interested to see if RAISY does how he adjusts to Sirius as well. But I mean, those results speak for themselves. He's lost to people you would expect him to, but they've always been close. I think the Strong Sage loss in there is an anomaly, not so much that it's disrespect for Strong Sage, but you would expect RAISY to beat him. But apart from that, he's lost to Kilson and Rafa, so you can't really slight him too much. This is definitely a different challenge altogether. And I think no matter who you are, you have to respect what Sirius brings. But then there's still a lot of vulnerability in his play, as we saw against Kilson last week, where Kilson respected the aim of Sirius, but absolutely capitalized upon his lack of positioning and timing in some of these instances. And so I expect RAISY to do the same.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind kind of find it fascinating that you'd say RAISY adjusting to Sirius, because I think it happens to be the opposite in this particular case. But that's because I feel like where RAISY is and how we've seen in the last few weeks looks pretty good. So I would kind of go the other way in that I'm more confident that RAISY's going to bring his game, and Sirius has to basically go, I need to hit my shots, I need to play smart, and I need to, watch my aggression. But, right?
I agree. I think the reason I say that is because the more experienced player knows how to adjust better. And so they're the ones that then can mold themselves in a more effective way. Whereas Sirius, with less experience, might not know how to adjust in the right way and just tries to play how he's comfortable. That's what I generally see against these kind of aim-heavy players. They'll want to use their strengths a lot more. And so it will be then the same way we saw Kilson. He was just playing really positional, not being as aggressive as he was. And then as soon as Sirius was out of position, he was capitalizing on that. So
then, do you think that Sirius has a chance to take this game?
I think he has a chance to take a map. I don't think he has a chance. He has a chance, but I don't think he has a big chance to take the set, no.
He's certainly quite a few times already taken a map here and there, but he could do the same today. We'll have to see. We'll have to look at the picks and bans, though. It'll give us a bit of an indicator of exactly what to expect. Sorry, I was just a little bit... I was a little bit shocked to begin with. Awoken has been banned. Veil's been banned as well. And we've got Blood Covenant, Molten Falls, and then Ruins. This is... I don't know what you think. I'll start with you, Dan, but I think these map picks are quite bizarre. I don't know what you think, but this kind of shouts that RAISY is forcing himself to play out of his comfort zone and just trying to play the maps and maybe some of the champions he's not very good at, and then trying to see what he can do if he puts himself in this kind of situation. Because Awoken banned straight away, that screams at instantly.
Yeah, it's also Sirius's most picked map, so it's not... Again, maybe that's a sign of respect, saying I don't want to play Sirius on his best map.
Yeah.
But saying that, RAISY's most classical champion is probably the Anarchy, and he's got it on Blood Covenant, and he knows how to play that quick and got tempo. We saw Sirius pick the Athena last week, and it didn't work out particularly well. That was against Kilson. So he's gone with it again. That's going to be interesting. He's facing a similar challenge in that RAISY can play very quick. He can really capitalize upon the Athena when she doesn't have those grapples up, and it's a light champion. Once again, it's going to come down to the rail and the positioning. But the other maps, again, I don't think it's too far removed, because he just tries to remove the combat heavy ones in terms of Deep Embrace and Awoken. So that leaves us with Ruins and Molten.
I'm just going to throw this out there, but I kind of feel like we should just disregard the rules, make this an insta-gib, like best of 3, and just see what happens. Rail only, because I think you're right. This is going to really depend on that. But this is, I think, I would say that this is definitely a bit more favorable to RAISY overall.
Yeah, it's looking that way at the moment. I'm worried about if RAISY, if Sirius gets the lead on Molten Falls and Strog at the very beginning. Obviously, he's banned the Slash, but at least he's got kind of the next best thing, really, because obviously the Anarchy's been removed in the Athena, of course, on Blood Covenant. The Slash has been banned, so that's all the mobility champions pretty much out of the way, apart from that Strog, so it's going to try and put that to good use. And we're back to the Galena and BJ pick, but instead of it being on Molten Falls like the previous series, we'll be going on to Ruins as the final map.
Yeah, that's the only real one I'm looking at in the board here, is that Visor pick as the first pick on Molten. I mean, there's everything else left on the table, and he just takes Visor. So I'm going to be really interested to see, obviously, how he plays that and what his play style is. There's plenty of other options that, in my mind, probably could have been slightly better, but we'll have to see how he wants to play it.
That is a pretty interesting pick. Yeah, that is. I would just suspect he just plays, top middle, almost the entire time. But I have no idea. That'll be good. Map 2. So anyway.
Yeah, because we have seen the BJ pick on Molten Falls quite a few times. It's up from Wenger earlier. We've seen Sirius play it quite a lot as well. And I thought we might have seen it more Molten Falls just for maybe RAISY to take that away. But it seems to be that, it's just very interesting, because we all know how good RAISY is on Awoken. It doesn't really matter too much about which opponent, but that's why I was a little bit surprised to begin with. I was like, Awoken banned straight away, and that was by him. humanly. So I was just like, okay, that's a little bit of a shock to the system. But I suppose now would be the time, if he did want to practice to play out of his comfort zone, then couldn't think of a better time than any, because we've only got a few weeks left now, and way technically, so to speak. And for him to not be able to get first seed, second seed, it's going to be very difficult for him right now, because he's still got to wait for the top 2 players to drop a few maps. And even then, though, top 8's pretty much set in stone at this stage, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm not going to squabble on and talk too much anyway. I'm going to let you two crack on with this series, and I'll see you in about half an hour.
Great.
Thank you, Lethal.
I actually thought Lethal and I were casting first series, and you were doing. So I must have misunderstood.
I could tell you look really disappointed.
Well, no, actually, I'm not at all. I love both you guys. I wasn't. I feel like RAISY in a previous interview, aside from talking about the wonderful chicken salad of Texas, was talking a little bit about his preparation for like QuakeCon and getting ready and playing out of his comfort zone a little bit. This is a chance for him to really do that. So.
It's definitely a more unique opponent. It's always a challenge to play someone who just hits as much as Sirius, and when it forces you to rethink a lot of your decisions in these games. And so, I think RAISY, you won't find it a surprise, as he'll played him 1,000 times, and I'm sure will relish it. But it definitely makes you second guess a lot of things as well.
Yeah. Well, time is upon us as we got our first of the feature matches. 4 weeks left, I believe, 4 actual play weeks left for this season, and then we will be going on. So these games are incredibly important. You know what else RAISY said? He talked about trying to make it through the upper bracket. Remember when he said that? So that ranking is even more important as far as I'm concerned. So, but we're about live. It's Sirius versus RAISY as we get started here in our first featured match, kicking things off with the eyes of RAISY. He's not going to be able to get that rail and seems to be perfectly okay with that. Has a plan B as he heads on over and delays this mega by quite a bit, which I think is probably pretty smart play here as he prepares for what could be this first battle.
Yeah, already tried to prohibit Sirius from getting that weapon. Going to be the game-breaking weapon that they both need, and you can see how cautious RAISY is even being to move out of this choke point. He's saying, if you want to come at me, that's fine, but I'm not exploiting myself until you have made your move. So he does do that. He does delay again. Sirius is actually delaying the heavy, so all things considered, now they are tied up on timings as well.
I think that is a great kind of counterplay to that, assuming that that's exactly what RAISY was going to do, and now it seems like it's just completely been negated. Big thing, though, is that there's still no rail, and RAISY sees an opportunity to just go ahead and make that rocket jump, head on over, and he's actually put Sirius kind of out of position now. He will see exactly where he's at just outside that teleporter, and then he's going to get mega, so RAISY will just drop back, grab himself that heavy, and they will just swap spots here, Dan.
Yeah, nearly very close to Sirius getting some serious damage on RAISY, punishing a pickup. Not to be, and they are playing extremely cautious from both sides. You can see the creative angles of RAISY here, catching Sirius off guard, and now that's a little bit of an opening for RAISY to go and dominate this mid ground. Potentially even get the first frag. There we go.
Oh my God, was that actually max damage buckshot right there? If it wasn't, it was pretty close, but RAISY up the stairs. Quick rocket from Sirius. He wants to tie this one up, but knows his chance has come and gone. What a phenomenal frag, and you can really see, oh my God. Oh. From RAISY's POV, that was magnetized, and he should be able to clean it up. Sirius does. We're tied back 1-1. Really interesting game so far. I would say that this actually is slower, but partially because that first minute and a half they played around the rail until that first frag came out. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, no. I agree with what RAISY was doing right there, but Sirius was so prepared for that. I guess the one thing that RAISY didn't factor in is the only weapon that he probably picked up coming around that corner was the shot, and that is it.
Yeah.
But a second one, and we're tied back up, and that's how easily you can give away what would be considered a pretty substantial lead here on Blood
100%.
Covenant. Oh my
And another
God.
one.
The payback is real, Dan. Holy
I mean, I was
moly.
just talking about how RAISY had an opportunity to shut Sirius out of the game, and he has been deleted 3 frags in a row by the super shotgun. Wow.
That's kind of nuts. If they're looking for a top 10 plays of the week, they should just put those 4 together and then say these happened within 20 seconds of each other.
Yeah.
That was totally nuts. And RAISY's still kind of on. He does hit that rail, but Sirius has an opportunity to really kind of play slow and steady, walk away. He uses the hook for some momentum there. I think he is just going to play the shotgun all the way to the end, which I'm okay with. 4 minutes in, though. We got plenty of time left. But that was a great stop of momentum and comeback by Sirius.
Yeah, I mean, and you talked in the intro about how Sirius has to adjust his game to RAISY, and there we go. Holding the choke points with a super shotgun, knowing RAISY's going to come flying through is not something we've seen Sirius do an awful lot, and he's done it in 4 frags out of the 5. So, good start from Sirius, and he's hitting his shots as well.
Yeah, I think that he's playing really intelligently, right? I mean, we've seen Sirius kind of evolve as a player over time, and I think there was a time where I really kind of enjoyed watching him play because he's just like, yeah, he's aggressive like I am, like throw the brain out the window and let's just go. But clearly it's not gonna work when you're playing against the best of the best. So you do have to play to them, and I would agree. I think Sirius is absolutely changed his game, capitalize on what he's strong with, but said, where does RAISY excel and how can I stop that? So far, so good. 5 minutes left, halfway through, still a lot of time here. Sirius does take a rail on the Mega, saw the inject come out, but Sirius will still eject him from the Mega.
Yeah, we still have to be considerate. It's obviously only a 2-frag game, and before that crazy turnaround, Sirius was scarily close to this game spiraling out of early control when RAISY was in dominant position. If he didn't get that super shotgun spawn, he could have been a couple of frags down. So
you're right.
He is still in a precarious position. If he gives up control, RAISY could snowball.
Yeah, and he's got to continue to hold on to this intelligent play that he's got going on here. As Sirius just controlling the areas of the map. I think, ooh, the rocket jumped over and LG's come out, but still, Sirius managed to take that one, even though he started that fight at a bit of a disadvantage. Now 6-3, and 3-frag lead is no joke with 4 minutes left to go.
It's not at all. RAISY with a very smart push there, catching Sirius off guard, but just unable to execute. The pure aim of Sirius was enough in that circumstance.
Was his inject down?
Now?
No,
Yeah,
was it? What?
Oh, was it? I don't know, but there is a tying up frag to bring it. Yep, 2 frags now, and now Sirius has to start again without the right weapons. He's trying to keep the pressure on, but RAISY punishing him for that overextension. The only blessing in disguise is those item timings still tied up, so Sirius has that Mega.
Yeah, this is going to be critical moments here now for RAISY. You could definitely see his pace and tempo kind of picking up a little bit here. Sees his opponent. Drops a hit with that rocket. And, you know, he is still going to take that fight serious now. Down to 60 points of health. Got to be careful. RAISY barreling in with that rail. And will that lead deplete as quickly as it was gained, Dan?
I mean, Sirius is doing a really great job to keep the pressure on off the spawn. If he gives RAISY that breathing room, he knows he's going to be punished. So he's learned his lesson from previous plays, and really smart from Sirius here. Now, he's in a little bit of an interesting position for someone that doesn't have the experiences. What do I do now? Do I play defensive? Do I go for more frags? What do I do with 2 minutes to go? And that can really confuse you. So he's got to be careful not to take his foot off the pedal too much and give RAISY just play of the map, because this can happen.
Oh my God, what a read. That whole thing, he damaged himself so he could grab the lower level light, and then he knew his opponent was going to go over there after hitting that tri-bolt. Like, that was actually super sick. And RAISY, it's a somewhat risky engagement, but it does pay off. And that is not only the tie game, but also taking the lead there. A rail suddenly out of nowhere from Sirius. And RAISY does not have this in the bag at all yet. He is in the lead, but this 90 seconds, still a lot could happen.
A lot, but now the pressure is on Sirius. After having that comfortable lead, he finds himself on the back foot, having to find a frag now with just over a minute to go. You could hear Athena coming swinging into the room. RAISY's going to back off slowly, holding the angles, and gets out for now. What RAISY will do is just play this low ground, play the choke points again, force Sirius in. Doesn't want to get involved in these mid-range, long-range fights. He just wants to take these secure, close-range combat.
Yeah, I mean, still got to be somewhat careful. RAISY making all the right decisions here on his movement. And there it is. He's going to hear the pop to the top. Sirius does have the height advantage. LG comes out from RAISY. They're going to fight it out. Oh, my God. And he hits the lightning gun to rail combo, and that might be it. Good play, good advance by Sirius.
Oh, that was a huge blast by RAISY, but he's still double railable. Is RAISY showing face?
Oh my God, yes! That was glorious. I mean, what were you gonna do in the last few seconds, right? That was
what
sick.
a game.
That was
what a game,
nice.
wait.
That was good. Yeah, I mean, look at that first 5 minutes. And, right, the big turning point was RAISY, who I think is a part of his own style, right? I just fragged my opponent. There's a limited number of places that he could possibly be. Barrels into that lower area. There's a huge shotgun blast return favor, by the way, from Sirius, and he's able to stack a few frags from there. But RAISY really did keep his head in the game. He played smart. He didn't deviate from what he wanted to do. And with the exception of the one fight that took place just by the rail jump pad, I thought RAISY had pretty much full control there. That LG battle, Sirius got the best of him, but wasn't able to add any more to the top of that one. So great game. Really excited that it went to where it went, Dan. And if all 3 games are going to be like this, I'm excited.
Well, I mean, how often do you see RAISY get caught off guard like that, let alone successive frags back to back? It's normally the other way around. So full credit to Sirius. Now, no idea if that was purely overconfidence from RAISY as well, but either way, Sirius did a remarkable job to build out that lead. He was also very close to that game spiraling out of control after the first couple of frags, but brought it back. Now, the big thing here is he just wasn't able to hit anywhere near as much damage as he would normally do, that 37% rail. So RAISY keeping him on his toes, forcing him to rush those shots and not giving him the angles. So just shows how close this game was from start to finish. But it was a much better performance from Sirius than we saw against Kilson last week, and it definitely had RAISY a little bit rattled as well. So let's bring on game 2 and 3.
Yeah. And now we've got that Molten Falls with the Visor versus Strog. Sirius on the Strog, RAISY on the Visor. And we'll get to see what his plan is for this one. Now, I mean, by comparison, I don't know that he's going to be able to take some of the same fights that he had the advantage in Blood Covenant here on Molten Falls. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. One thing is probably for certain, I would suspect that the opening of the match would have them still continuing to fight around that rail. That was a pivotal point. They both respect the hell out of one another as far as that's concerned. But then, once the game gets started, that phase of the game is pretty much over. But we'll see what happens here on Molten Falls.
Yeah, 100%. I am very interested to see if there's a specific reason why RAISY first picked this. what the game plan's going to be and just how he's going to use it to counter Sirius. It might just be just to play purely around that ability and just try and not engage Sirius in any real messy fights on the mid ground. Just play your side of the map, play around the ability, and see how it goes. We'll have to see how RAISY wants to play.
We're moments away. So let's see what unfolds here in map number 2. RAISY takes the first one by 2 frags, and now here we are, as we are going to be looking through RAISY once again. He spawns near the heavy, pops over, has not picked it up quite yet. There, Sirius moves in and sneaks a rail out of there. And RAISY is not going to go for that. Nope, he's just going to grab some more LG, then probably head on back. He's not going to want to engage until he gets in there, and there he's got it. And so now, how will this unfold? We got vision popped, sees exactly where his opponent is. But RAISY sitting on top of Mega.
He must know it wasn't picked up because Sirius was at the rails so early.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a just-in-case spot check?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Either way, he gets out of dodge without taking any damage, as does Sirius, trading items once again. They're more or less on the same timing, so nobody quite yet can take the map away.
And quiet in these halls, as RAISY is definitely in trap mode, Dan. He wants to just set up something. There, a rocket comes in. He doesn't react. A second one. He sneaks on in and huge LG opening damage and follows up with the peeker, but the peeker goes down quickly. Oh, RAISY almost catching the other end of that rail, but we'll head on over. Knows exactly where his opponent is. Nice rail out of the vision. And he's going to try to finish it up, but great. Oh, my gosh. Took a big risk there, and Sirius was ready for it. And he takes frag number 1. Nicely played.
Really nicely played. Considering RAISY got the jump, the retaliation was there from Sirius, and this is why he's scary. He could just turn him away on his head, but the rockets up on the jump pad were the deciding factor in that fight. Did so much damage, but very much on the back foot now. RAISY's going to have to come and push on in. He's going to take a lot of damage for his troubles. Nearly even died.
That was way more damage than he should have taken right there, and Sirius is going to go down a second time, despite the fact that RAISY kind of ate a lot more than I think he should have there in the securing of that frag. Vision popped once again. Easy shots here with another rail. It's Sirius is very, very low. A second time. Mega is almost up, but there's not much that Sirius can do. It still gets grabbed by RAISY. And still close game, Dan. But really interesting how this is unfolding.
Yeah, I feel RAISY's being slightly careless in some of his movements around the map. We've seen him go a couple of times up that big jump pad, knowing Sirius is in the vicinity, so it's just free damage. But that's an amazing drop. He gets the exchange.
Yeah, immediately see vision popped, so he knows exactly where he's at. It sets him up for Mega. Oh man, anticipates him going for that light and some rockets. But dude, Dan, I'm like really surprised that some of these fights are as close as they are. Like, and even when Sirius might be on the kind of the receiving end, he's doing an enormous amount of damage to RAISY.
Yeah, he is, and this is why it's as close as it is so far. Even getting another frag, and this is what Sirius just wasn't doing in kind of the initial weeks in the league, is just having that constant presence on items, and it's paying dividends now because it's keeping RAISY in check. He used to just want to play around the angles and just out-aim throughout the map, but this presence on the items and good timing from Sirius is why this map is so close.
Yep, still up by 1. Uh-oh. Could be bad situation here. Another great rail on the open. But got to be careful. Sirius has that LG out, and RAISY going to back off just a little bit. Like you said, trying to play that angle. Beautiful. Lovely. Snap rail. Sirius picks up that Mega, but RAISY now, what was that mid-ranged game in game number 1, is now relying on his ability to fight long distance here. Peeker comes out, easily dispatched. this little, oh my gosh.
Nice, yeah.
I mean, it's a totally different, he's playing completely different than he did from game one, right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, that was a little bit reckless from Sirius. He should have known that he was not going to be able to get them. Still did a huge amount of damage, but giving up frags now is going to be costly to come back on this particular map.
Oh,
How?
It was a good juke, I think. You know, you looked where that rocket for RAISY went, and Sirius went the other way, and then he hits those rails, and that's what you got to be, you know, you got to be worried about. If you are not clearly winning some of those battles, like that one, there were some good rocket bounces there, but Sirius is always on top of his game, even when he might be, again, on the losing side of a fight. So not that time though, as he's just one frag away from potentially tying this back up, and all that effort here from RAISY may be lost.
Mm-hmm. Sirius has done an amazing job to combat himself back into this, and every time RAISY tries to make one of these pushes, Sirius is punishing him. And he's doing it as well with pretty much half the item suite. RAISY's had a much better control throughout this map.
You're right. It's actually kind of impressive. So let's see what Sirius can do to try to bring this to his place as he jumps into the room with LG on him. It's like they switched roles for a second there.
Yeah.
But now RAISY back up with one frag.
Yeah, I think an area Sirius needs to improve on though is just his damage efficiency, like what we saw from Venga earlier. Just the way he needs to be able to damage his opponent in and around the map, not in these all-out engagements, because we know he can win those, but if his opponent is weaker, it makes his life a lot easier.
You're right. Yeah, I think that is a great point, because he's not underperforming in the fights themselves, but those could be clear winnable fights if he was hitting some of those other rails that RAISY was clearly winning to kind of bring this one back in his favor now. Sirius still looked like he wanted to maybe try to fight for that mega, but yeah, RAISY won't let him do it.
No, and he's in a position now where all he can do is try and hit one or two rails with unreturned damage, because RAISY has this map control. There's a big split between the items. Sirius, once again, he's in position to punish the exit, which is where he needs to be. But RAISY's going to be more cautious and take the long way around.
RAISY knows. He knew. He 100% knew that was what the play needed to be. And I think, right, that is... aside, putting aim aside, putting kind of strategy of battles aside, that map awareness, knowing exactly what you have control of, what your opponent does it, and where they probably will be, right? That is championship play for sure.
Yeah. On the other side, Sirius is doing the right thing. Once you've missed out on the major items and not done any damage, there's no point in contesting, because their stack can't get any bigger.
Right.
So you should put yourself in any sort of vulnerable position. You should make sure you get up to your base stack and then take the high ground. So he's done a good job to dodge out, and he's going to win himself a mega. So perfect timing from Sirius. He's still in this game, but he's now getting bounced around.
Oh, yeah, went back in. Maybe should have just grabbed Mega on the exit, but RAISY was ready for it. And that was the one disadvantage. Like, yeah, Sirius has an opportunity, but RAISY's stack looked good, right? He could give that one up and just take the battle. Oh no.
The tilt frag.
Oh no. Oh no.
That is the yeah.
Oh. Oh man, it hurts. Like right like here. I'm pointing to where my heart is. You know, carved out and eaten for dinner. That was pretty. And you know, it is RAISY's like signature move. When he's like, I've won this game, it's usually some sort of gauntlet frag to kind of let them know, like, you just stop right now.
Yeah.
The RAISY special is what someone in chat called it. The RAISY special.
Number 45. And this game looks a lot worse than it obviously was. It was very close. We were at 1 frag game until the big frag over by Mega to make it 9-7. And I really enjoyed the way in which Sirius was playing. And in hindsight, actually, the Visor was played very well as well, because RAISY made sure he dominated all of the vials on the map. So he had so much uptime. It made his life actually infinitely easier. So
yeah, I think you really nailed it on terms of like what could have changed the flow or the momentum for Sirius, and I think it is that non-direct battle damage that you talked about a little bit. You could clearly go through and mark several times where RAISY was doing exactly that, which then helped him win those fights. His positioning was really great. So like Sirius has the aim to be able to do that. Maybe it is just a part of the control, a part of the just overall map awareness. I thought those first 5 minutes once again were really fantastic. I have to imagine that even RAISY is kind of got sweaty palms a little bit from just how well Sirius is kind of handling some of that. But once RAISY got his hooks in him.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the story of this game. I was really impressed by the way in which Sirius was constantly pressuring these items. It was just not a feature of his game 8-12 weeks ago. But the way in which he always had a presence on the map, in spite of RAISY's control, RAISY had doubled the items. If he just had that additional component of being able to keep his opponent's stack in check without committing his body to it as well, he would be in a much better position to take more frags than he did, and potentially even turn the game on his head. And so it's definitely a case of he's matured a lot, and there's still these areas that he can work on to make him even scarier. But these are the areas now that really separate what is a champion from just a great player.
Right.
That's
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it from it could have just been no champions at all, right? Like, I don't feel like Peaker played much of a key role in that match at all. Whereas Vision was huge.
No, Peaker didn't, but the crouch sliding definitely did. Sirius used that very well. Yeah.
Of course, but it still didn't win him the game.
No, it didn't. It didn't. No, but I also struggled to see what else he could have picked as a game-changing champion. He got outplayed in instances there, in spite of all the great work he did. So
clearly, the answer is scale, right? It just would have been a funnier match, I think.
I just didn't want to set you off. I got scolded by John enough. No, seriously. Scale. I mean, did you watch the scale earlier?
I
Seriously?
didn't get. That's when I actually went up to get ready. How?
Of course.
How was it? Yeah.
I think it was like 20-something to 1. He won.
Scale 1.
Yeah.
Well, needed some work on that win rate. So good for you, I suppose. That's.
But I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Sirius play together. But no, I mean, even though he lost, that was still a very good performance by Sirius.
Yeah, and both these maps have. We'll have to see what happens here on Ruins. Is RAISY now full, cyborg mode? He's just going to bring it all. I do think Sirius is at least. I like Galena on this map, but RAISY's aim looks phenomenal. Using dual wield to take a major item or to regain control, or maybe just to bully, highly possible here on our final map, Ruins. But RAISY takes the series 2-0, but we're going to play map number 3, and this does help RAISY and his rankings as he does head closer to Twitch or QuakeCon. Wow. It's like 7 years of habit. Sorry.
It's not the first time I've had it. It makes me laugh. No, I think the really interesting thing is the way in which Sirius is now forced to play also brings his percentages into normal human territory as well, as he's not given these free angles, he's not being able to punish his opponents. He looks mortal with regards to aim, but he's still contesting as well.
Let me ask you, Dan, like as we get started here in this match, if Sirius played like as well as he's played versus RAISY against other top contenders in the QPL, right? Like how do you think he measures up against the rest of the talent right now? He clearly has improved a lot over the course of the season.
I think he's solidly top 6 to 8. He can still take maps off and even beat top 4, but I think he can definitely get a top 6 ranking if he plays his absolute best.
Yeah. Well, I even remember at last year's finals, he was pretty confident, and I don't think he necessarily gets nerves overall. It's mostly just controlling what happens in the game, but it'll be interesting to see as we're getting closer to those finals.
Because what we haven't seen this series is Sirius in control as well. He's been playing from behind, which is the hardest thing to do. As I said, that he drops into double LGs, but still hits the rail.
Wow.
But yeah, seeing him from in front, and we've seen it time and again, like these players who, anyone in the QPL can win a series if they get good control. They become very, very hard to beat. It's how do you play from behind? How do you play under pressure? And
yeah.
That's what we've seen in this series. He's been coping, but not successful.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me right now? Oh my God, how? That's unreal. Oh, good opportunity though. LG catches them in the air. Not enough to chase on that, but heavy backup. RAISY gonna go at it yet again. Wow, that literally went through the stone right there. Rail was supposed to, or that stone was supposed to stop that one, but yeah. 0-0 still 2 minutes into this game.
How is the question? We've seen so many close calls. Once again, Sirius, though, is out of control here. Going to be fighting for this heavy. RAISY knows when it is, and RAISY's got the stack to bully his opponent off. He even pops the dual wheel just to absolutely make sure there is no contest there. And Sirius is actually caught up above. Huge rocket coming out, but he can't connect with the rail. He's really vulnerable. Must be a question of time.
God. Again, Sirius's ability to deal damage in some of these fights is really just impressive.
We need an eye roll counter for RAISY right now, because every time Sirius pulls up one of these.
Ooh. All right, yeah, I wouldn't mess with that man's rockets. I've seen Sirius hit, I think, 2 mid-airs so far in this. Wow, RAISY just decided to go in for it. We're going to have that insta-get battle that we asked for, and Sirius is the winner. Now up 3-1. Here you go, Dan. Here's the opportunity. In control. Especially if there's a fight or contesting over this mega. Nope, not going to happen. Okay, maybe not like in full control, but
yeah, he needs timings. He's got timing on the heavy at least.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna try here.
This is fine for Galena. He's got 2 totems up. One will be taken out if there is a fight, but he's got 2 totems up, and as a Galena, you don't really care about the mega if you can get that overstack. Obviously, you want to punish it, and he's trying to get that timing now. RAISY is very wary. He's picked it up. Sirius knows already there to punish it. There goes the mega. Once again, RAISY hits a lovely rail. He's still sticking around, but Sirius got the read.
Yeah, now we've got a little bit of control here. And a great stack. So 2 frags up, 6 minutes left to go. I feel like RAISY's just thinking about what trap do I have here. 3 great rockets for frag number 4. And Sirius is gonna get an opportunity here to possibly make it 5 up the jump pad. Super shotgun's out, but oh no.
Oh, of course he gets that spawn. Of course he gets that spawn. All right. Lucky boy, but he pulls it off.
Wow. I mean, isn't Quake just a little bit of luck?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh man. No, that was like the best spot I think he could have possibly got in that exact situation. So Rolled the dice and exactly what he needed. But still down 3 frags.
He is. Sirius trying to defend this, but RAISY's gone the long way around. He's got the angle and he hits the shot perfect. Nullifies that pickup. He won't be able to get across to the Mega. But as long as he can punish it, which he can, RAISY's ready for the angle. He's done his job. He's lost his Totem Fortress, so that's a bit painful as well.
Wow. Chat disagrees about the luck comment, but my thought is that every little burst of damage does a roll for a crit hit in future Quake games, and then we'll just add luck to a little bit in there.
I love that thinking.
Are you being serious or?
No, I'm actually being serious.
There you go. Let's do it.
Oh.
Let's do it. All right, well, RAISY's still got to figure out how exactly am I going to win this. I mean, he does need the map win to continue to push his way up those rankings. So 4 minutes ticking down. They're going to be a pretty fast 4 minutes. Oh, jumping up. Sirius is, they're waiting for him. RAISY just hightails it out of there. He needs an opening.
He does. Sirius is cutting off all the angles and connecting with his shots as well. Hitting over a 60% rail at the moment. But he doesn't know RAISY's already waiting very early down below. Luckily, he doesn't drop into the room. That was a interesting totem as well, but he's going to catch RAISY here. The double rockets come out. He gets blown and no!
Wow.
1 health.
Wow. He's got to be careful, though. That's exactly what situation where I think Sirius excels at. Kanui was going to come out of that teleporter. A great read. And that could be an opportunity here. Suddenly what looked like a long climb, now just 1 frag away. I wasn't expecting that.
No, nor was I. And I think Sirius misunderstood what RAISY was up to. He's got his overstack up now, so that's a little bit of a positive, but he hasn't got rockets, so he's obviously very vulnerable if RAISY finds a way to set a trap.
Well, RAISY's time for trapping is slowing down. He knows exactly where his opponent is, though. He's got him in a good spot. Ooh, opens up with the rail. A second. Is he going to make it a third? Nope. LG comes out. They're going to battle it out. Ooh, put himself in the back corner. Not great, but falls at the rail. 7 points of health. And we're tied.
1, 2, and 7.
But RAISY's got to be careful.
My lord. Sirius is there, though. RAISY is definitely not in a position to take this. Sirius has such a good stack.
Yeah, RAISY's got to get out of there. Just kind of actually backtracks a little bit, give Sirius the indication or the idea that maybe he went the other way. And I love when RAISY plays this way.
Look how paranoid Sirius is as well.
Yeah.
Like he just walked into the room spamming every corner that exists. He's now running around the map doing the same, but he's going to run into RAISY through the TP, and he actually goes through the... Have to take this fight. He's got the overstack. RAISY's going to push on out. Actually hits the exit rail as well, and that's going to win in the Mega. Sirius, why are you there, my friend?
Oh my gosh.
That is literally a symptom of having too good aim. You think I can win this fight when you have no right to be there.
And then you just move in. Well, 1 minute. RAISY's has the lead after being relatively down for most of the game. I'm not sure I totally agree with that last engagement, but yep, here we go. 40 seconds remaining for Sirius to try to bring something together. I don't know if it's going to happen, Dan.
I mean, he's going to miss out on this heavy now as well. RAISY's got timing. Oh, he's backed off it, though. Sirius won't know that unless he guesses right, but it's just... RAISY is literally just waiting in the hallway. And he would have had the pickup now, but he's just not going to move. And... yeah, there's no way. GG.
GG. Another pretty close game as GGs are exchanged. And if there's one thing that's clear coming out of this one, it's that RAISY's looking pretty good for the championship. And it's that Sirius is looking pretty good. Like, I would agree with you. Top 6-8, certainly a possibility. Let's bring Lethal back in and see what he thinks.
I'm just gonna say pretty much the same, so to speak. Sirius did look pretty damn good. We saw two very close maps. The second one was technically close, but of course the Gauntlet probably threw a bit of a tilt factor, so to speak. But,
yeah, someone in
very
chat said that the Gauntlet has a passive which just destroys you mentally, and I'm like, it's kind of true. It is kind of true. It's an undocumented feature. Yeah.
Oh, so it's a passive that ruins your mental. I'll remember that in future when I try and use the Gauntlet and just completely fluff out.
Yeah, because it goes
massively.
the other way, right? You think you're going to hot shot it and you pull your Gauntlet out and then someone just owns you. Like, it can work against you, I'm sure.
That wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if it happened in that second map as well. But yeah, you know, technically all three maps were close. The second one wasn't as close, just only really towards the very, very end. But it does prove that Sirius, I do agree with you guys, that, you know, looking to be in form for like at least maybe top 12, top 8 if we head into the Quake World Championships. But he is knocking on the door to maybe push a little bit further than that. So we'll have to see how things pan out over the next few weeks. But of course, you get that 2 or 3 weeks segment in terms of week 18 and then going to the Quake World Championships, where all of a sudden everyone just turns into like beast mode. They just put on the full practice regimen and they just turn out to be completely different from what we've seen in the Pro League. I think me and Dan spoke about that previously with Chain and Kron, and I'm sure we'll see plenty of others do the exact same thing, because there's always upset central and some crazy stuff here. But that's the scoreline for you guys at home: 9-7, 6-5 in maps 1 and 2. It was very close in that second map, but of course, due to the last few minutes with the Gauntlet, Sirius was just like, yeah, I've had enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second game was you know, an 8-6 game in reality beyond that. So they were all incredibly close. Once again, Sirius pushing a top 3 player to the absolute wire. And on that last map, the reverse happened. You know, he took that lead. He didn't get the full control, but then he just went quite passive. Didn't really know how to push his advantage too much. And that gave RAISY too much breathing room. So, you know, there's still so many areas Sirius can learn on how to play at different stages of the game. And when he does, these close maps will start going in his favor.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree, and I think other players will absolutely take note as everyone is watching everyone, because at the end of the day, as many have said right here during QPL, is that you're going to eventually have to play and beat everyone if you want to wear that belt, right? So no doubt about it, really great performance coming out from Sirius. I think for RAISY, it's sort of what we expected, but I do walk away from this match a little, you know, probably more impressed overall with Sirius, just because since coming into the league, he really has kind of come into his own. I'm not sure where that would put him, if he's still like in the 11-12, but we'll have to see what happens here in the final weeks. He's still got a couple of pretty tough opponents ahead.
Yeah, the bloke is still knocking on the door for top 8. He's actually got 1 or 2 matches left in hand, as well as Nosfers, so there will probably be catching up to Avik at this point. Avik's currently 8th, but he's like already played 12 matches, and Nosfer and Sirius has already played 10, so he's like, I'm sure Avik is keeping an eagle eye on the scoreboard and just to see exactly what's going on in terms of who's been taking how many maps and what series and whatnot. But speaking of series, though, we've still got 1 more match left to go. We've still got Kilson versus Zeneku, our final matchup of the evening. So, guys, make sure you don't go anywhere, as we're back in just a few moments.